My mama's working in Venezuela, mama like Cinderella, mama's got a chunga, yeah. I say hola, hola, hola bossa nova. I say yeah, 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 I got a chunga, yeah. Daddy just marijuana, daddy smokes marijuana, daddy's got a chunga, yeah. My daddy wrote Don Quixote, daddy wrote El Quixote, daddy's got a chunga, yeah. I say no, 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 no more tequila, no. I say yeah, 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 I got a chunga, yeah. Mama's lives in Argentina, mama's got a chunga, yeah. My mama's working in Venezuela, mama like Cinderella, mama's got a chunga, yeah. I say hola, hola. My mama cooks in Italy, mama swims in Argentina, mama's got a chunga, yeah. My mama's working in Venezuela, mama like Cinderella, mama's got a chunga, yeah. I say hola, hola, hola bossa nova. I say yeah, 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 I got a chunga, yeah. Daddy just marijuana, daddy smokes marijuana, daddy's got a chunga, yeah. My daddy wrote Don Quixote, daddy wrote El Quixote, daddy's got a chunga, yeah. I say no, 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 no more tequila, no. I say yeah, 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 I got a chunga, yeah. Mama swims in Argentina, mama's got a chunga, yeah. My mama's working in Venezuela, mama like Cinderella, mama's got a chunga, yeah. I say hola, hola.
About 10 years ago, I was at a restaurant having dinner by myself when a 5-year-old boy came up and said, "Mister, what's wrong with your face?" But before I had a chance to respond, his mom grabbed him by the arm and she said, "Don't bother the nice man. He has enough troubles already." I thought better of it. I realized this could be a really great teachable moment. I introduced myself to the boy. "Hi, my name is John. What's your name?" "You know, you have a really good question. You see, I had a medical procedure that caused me not to be able to move my face. But it's my new face and I love it because it's cool. It's different, just like yours." I share this true story to remind adults to treat people who are different with respect and compassion. Most of us don't have a choice in our plight. For me, I had brain surgery. I did not ask for a brain tumor. I did not order it from Amazon. This was a 4.5 centimeter acoustic neuroma. It was about the size of a golf ball. It was killing me by displacing my brainstem. That was the little alien in my head. Oh no, you can tell. You see his little hands? Sure, I can joke about my condition now, but that came after many years of therapy and overcoming my depression. The surgery paralyzed the left side of my face, made me deaf in the left ear. I found the best therapy for me to regain my self-confidence was performing magic. I'd done a lot of magic as a kid, but remembered how much joy it brought me. I was lucky enough to live in Los Angeles, California, only a few miles away from the Mecca of Magic, the exclusive Academy of Magical Arts, better known as the world-famous Magic Castle. This is where top magicians from all over the world come to perform. That became my goal. I passed my audition to become a member, and little by little, started building my act, doing impromptu magic throughout the club. The more I performed, the more I realized that audiences watched my magic, and my deformity disappeared. An amazing act. My ultimate illusion. From surgery to stage, it took me 10 grueling, fun, and rewarding years to reach my goal of headlining in the close-up gallery at the Magic Castle. This was a dream come true, and it happened notwithstanding having a brain tumor. Performing magic became my life-saving therapy. I want to make sure that you realize that any of us here could be in my position or even worse off in an instant. Now, I hope that's not true of you. But let it remind you to treat people who are different with the respect and compassion you would ask for yourself. The next time you see someone being disrespected, in the need of a helping hand or just a friendly smile, let your compassion intervene. Use your superpower of a simple hello and create momentum to make the world a slightly better place. One parting word of advice. If you ever find yourself sitting across a card table with me, you might want to reconsider. Not only am I a good magician, but I have a great poker face. Thank you very much.
Welcome everybody to Planet Lizzdom. I am beyond excited to introduce you to John tonight because he's so amazing, and I wanted to start the show with his video because I really wanted you to see just how remarkable a person he is. You know, it's funny. It's rare that you meet someone who immediately sparks joy in you and inspires you. And when I met him on Zoom about a month and a half ago, my entire world changed and just turned upside down. I've never been so excited by a stranger, someone I've never met before. And, you know, we pre-showed for about, I'd say at least an hour and a half, just talking about everything. And I left that conversation with him feeling like I had made a friend for life. And, you know, it's the sort of thing where, how can I put it? not only is he so incredibly talented at magic, and I mean, if you've ever been to the Magic Castle where he's a member, you've seen him and you've seen his sleight of hand and you've seen what he can create. And he's done about 6,000 shows plus there now. But the way he motivates you is just so life-changing. He's my first motivational speaker. I can't even say it. And I'm so proud to introduce to you the amazing and the wonderful and the absolutely hilarious John Kippen. Give everyone a warm welcome, everybody. Hi, John. I'm tripping over my words tonight. I'm just so excited to have you here. Thank you so much for joining me.
Here. It seems like we first talked about it like 6 months ago, it seemed. I don't know. I've been waiting for this day.
I know. It feels like I have literally known you for years now. It's amazing. And I mean, everybody, I have to tell everybody, every conversation you and I have had has been, at least 20 minutes. You are so easy and engaging to speak to. You're absolutely fun. I look forward to seeing you perform in person one day because I think you're just so great. For those who don't know who you are, please introduce us to you and what you're about beyond what we've seen already.
Well, my name is John, and I grew up in Los Angeles, and to two great parents, both attorneys. So hence why I didn't become an attorney.
Oh.
And, I grew up in the San Fernando Valley, suburb of Los Angeles, and, pretty much upper middle class, had everything I needed, supportive parents, friends, and so forth, and went to a private school, and then went to college, studied theater. I did a lot of theater, both on the stage and behind the stage, and really found a passion for communicating with people live. And then in college, I started a computer consulting company, which I still run today, called JDK Consulting. And we service most of the entertainment-based companies, providing outsourced IT services. And everything was going well. And then in 2002, I started having hearing and dizziness issues, which resulted in diagnosis of a pretty big golf ball-sized tumor in my head. And it affected the quality of life. I couldn't concentrate. I couldn't stand without being dizzy. And it took me about 2 months to get finally an MRI and diagnosed. And within 7 days, they were cutting me open.
Wow.
Removing the tumor. And it's a whirlwind. You get that kind of diagnosis where they're saying, we're moving other patients to fit you in. You don't have time for a second opinion. It's just like you just throw your hands up and you say, just do what you need to do to save my life.
Wow.
So that happened. And unfortunately, the surgery, although it successfully removed the tumor, it left my face paralyzed. And they were hopeful that it would return. And so daily I would try to, look in a mirror and see if I could smile. And that became kind of the question of the day. Will today be the day that my smile comes back? I remember waking up in the recovery room and after surgery, and my parents were there, and once I was kind of somewhat conscious, I saw my dad and he was smiling, but I looked at my mom and she looked horrified.
Oh, wow.
It was this, what did they do to my precious John's face? And I have full feeling, I just can't move it. So okay. I had no idea that there was anything wrong until I literally looked at my mom's face. And immediately I knew that there was something wrong. So, I did physical therapy, and the doctor kept on saying, just be patient, it'll come back. And it never did. So I stopped going out, I stopped socializing, I focused on my business, which I could run out of my house, and would send other people to go and do the day-to-day work. And I would just stay home on the phone with clients and so forth. And I was lonely, and so I finally, as a recreation, I turned to playing semi-professional poker. Because at a poker table, no one cares what you look like. They want your money.
Yeah, that's true.
And but after 3 or 4 years of doing that, I looked at my bank account and I'm like, this isn't as great as therapy as I thought it would be.
Oh.
So
Oh, dear.
I decided to join the Magic Castle. And so I joined as associate member, not performing. And within a couple of months, I said, no, I got to perform. I had done magic as a kid, but really never took it seriously until I had to audition. And I spent a couple of weeks putting together an audition, and I passed. And then I started working my way into one of the impromptu areas just to sit down and perform for people. And it gave me that confidence to share my stories and it wasn't me wanting to tell them about me. I just love the connection I made with people. But I found that my audiences for the first minute or so were thinking, I wonder what happened to his face. Did he have a stroke? Did he have Bell's palsy? And of course, everybody was polite about it, but I could tell that it distracted them.
Okay.
So I came up with the idea to introduce myself, saying, I had a brain tumor and they cut me open and something happened to me on the operating room table. I don't know what it was because I was unconscious. All I know is I recovered. I realized I had acquired some new skills, and then I go on to do some mentalism, which you know very well from your boyfriend, Chris.
Yes.
And all of a sudden now people are looking at me with a different eye. They're like, maybe something did happen to him in the other operating room. And it kind of, it answered the question that they didn't want to ask, but they definitely wanted the answer to. And so I would get that out of the way within the first 30 seconds of meeting them. And all of a sudden now I had their undivided attention, and that elephant in the room was gone. And it was so liberating, allowing people to just enjoy the show and not have to worry about it. And as soon as they started to see that I was okay with performing with a paralyzed face, that it didn't bother me, they were like, shit, if it doesn't bother him, why should it bother us? I've had various people. I had a group of med students come by and all of a sudden see me and sit down, and they grilled me like, what was wrong, how big the tumor was, and got a lot of attention. So that was good. But it's thank you, Catherine. It's been a journey, and through the journey, and that was back in 2002, and I joined the castle in 2007. So yeah, it was like 5-6 years of not really engaging with people.
Wow, that is a long time.
Yeah, it really was. And it was just, my fear of being judged, my fear of being stared at.
Yeah.
And made fun of. And, adults would walk down the other side of the street. Just because they didn't want to be caught staring. They didn't want to, make me feel uncomfortable.
Wow.
And I share in some of my talks that, for people who have some physical characteristic, we're overweight, we have a big nose, we have a big forehead, we wear a yellow thing in our hair.
Yeah, except we have green hair.
Right. They want to potentially save our feelings, but what they're actually doing is alienating us.
Absolutely.
I'd much rather have someone say, hey, John, nice to meet you. What the hell happened? And let me explain the story. So that's really what I'm about. As I healed from the emotional scars of having my face paralyzed,
of course,
I started understanding. I started making these connections with other people who had something that they were hiding from. And I tell this story about how I hid for over 12 years, meaning I looked through my photo library, and I came to the realization that there were 12 years where there was not one posed photo of me in my photo library.
Wow.
Because that was the last thing I wanted to do, is take a photo. If I was out somewhere, I would be the guy with the camera taking the photograph.
Right.
And that all changed for me in 2017, August 4th, actually, when I went to my first magic convention in Las Vegas called Magic Live. And I met the greatest performers alive. And I look all up through, I knew some of them, but many of them I just seen on TV or seen perform, but I was really engaged to meet them. And I started asking them if they would mind taking a picture with me. And they were so generous with their time. They're like, sure, whatever. And I came home with this huge camera roll of pictures with some of the greatest magicians I ever knew existed, you know?
That's
and then I started to understand that if these guys and ladies were okay with taking a picture with me, why the hell am I not taking a picture? Okay with taking a picture with them. So that's kind of when my healing really started.
Wow.
You know, I tell a story of, you know, a couple of years ago, I was at the Magic Castle, and I was just sitting there. For those who don't know, it's a multi-level place, and there was one bar that I was sitting at, and just people watching, looking for a fun group to do a show for. Excuse me. And this woman's walking down the hallway, and she's dressed all in black with a hat that reminded me of a witch's hat. And she approached. I said, "Hi, how are you?" She stopped with this look that said, "Just leave me the hell alone." You know, continued walking down to catch up with her friends. And I had two choices, and I didn't leave her alone. So I followed her, and I caught up with the group. And I said, "Guys, you want to do some magic?" And they're like, "Oh, yeah." So we went over to a little green table, and I started performing. And the woman who was dressed in black, her name was Billy. And I put Billy to my side, and you know, I made her the star of the show. You know, everything happened because she did something. And all of a sudden I could see she started smiling, and her eyes started glimmering, and she took off the hat. And she was engaged. And whatever baggage she brought with her that night was no longer in the forefront of her mind, right? And after my show, they wanted more. So I shared the story about how I had hid from cameras and mirrors for over 12 years. And it was magic that allowed me to heal. And all of a sudden she stood and she grabbed me with one of these bear hugs and said, "You don't soon forget." You know, like I haven't seen a brother in 20 years.
Yep.
And after 30 seconds of hugging me, she stood back and she was crying, and she looked up and she said, "John, I need to share something with you. 4 years ago, I had a double mastectomy because I have the BRCA1 gene. And my aunt, my sister, and my mom all had their breasts removed, and I was the last in the family to do so. And when I sat here listening to your story, it made me realize that I've been doing the same thing by the clothes I'm wearing and the hats. I've been hiding from people because I wasn't comfortable in my own skin. And I think after listening to you, you saved 8 years off my hiding."
Wow.
Yeah. So she was crying, so she disappeared to go wash her face in the bathroom, and her friends are sitting there, and this one friend says, "You don't understand what just happened." I said, "What?" She said, "We've known Billy forever, and we've been with her through her journey after her breasts were removed. And you did in 30 minutes what we've been trying to do for 4 years."
Wow.
You know, so it's all of us who, you know, we go through something traumatic. We all go through something traumatic. And the best way to heal from it is to learn the lessons, learn the skills that it took to overcome it, and share that insight with other people. Because that authenticity will really resonate with people. Yeah. And, you know, instead of looking at someone like Tony Robbins on a stage who looks like nothing's gone wrong with him. You know, you look at someone who wears his biggest challenge on his face or whatever, and there's an immediately sense of authenticity.
Yes.
You know,
people are actually drawn to imperfection because it reflects, you know, because they're not perfect. So all of a sudden it's okay to be imperfect. In fact, it's the bar has now been set, you know.
That's why I call my platform "Being Different is Your Superpower."
I agree.
It's something that you know the best. Your difference is something you know better than anyone else. And as long as you look at it as a power to motivate others, to share your story, to make people feel not so alone, it's an amazing the kind of relationships that you create.
Yes.
It really is. And it's like a drug. You know, when I would you said 6,000 performances. Yeah, I would go to the castle 4 or 5, 6 nights a week and sit at one of the impromptu tables and just do as many shows as I could do.
Yep.
Just because I met people who I was able to touch on a human level.
Yeah.
You know, and seeing their smiles, long lasting, was amazing.
You know, and there's something so gratifying about giving yourself the permission to be humble and to be, you know, under the microscope, but in a very loving way. You know, that's something I really sense from you, where, you know, your openness comes from a place of love and desire to connect with people, and you cannot make that up.
No, absolutely not. You know, and we all talk about being happy and finding joy. I found joy through my healing and through the ability to communicate with others and help them through whatever shit they were going through.
Yeah.
I think that is really the ultimate joy of knowing that your sacrifice, your trauma, whatever adversity helps someone else is one of the most fulfilling things.
It is, you know, I'm sure, you know, you felt it at some point where, you know, you're so compelled to share of yourself and to connect with people. You know, do you find even on your worst day, you're still interested in connecting with people?
You know, it's funny, during the pandemic, which is one of the worst times of my life, you know, being single and stuck at home for a year,
Yeah.
not going out other than to go groceries. You know, it was I missed interacting with people. You know, and one of the I invented this game. It's called Rolodex Roulette.
Yes, I love this game. I'm glad you brought it up. I wanted to bring it up.
And the way you play, you know, for all of you, I don't know how old the average age, but a Rolodex is this little thing with cards and a spindle, right? And you, never mind. I'm old.
It's from back in the day.
But you open your contacts and you scroll up and down blindly, and you stop on a name and you call them.
Yeah.
And you say, hey, I'm playing this game I learned from my friend John. It's called Rolodex Roulette, and I landed on your name, and you're it. How are you? And it's amazing. The conversations start with, hello.
Oh.
Oh my God, it's so great to hear you. Oh, that was a great phone call. And then people start playing that game. And another great thing about it, you know, we all have those contacts in our phone that we lost touch with, or we had a falling out with, or something was left unsaid. And this game gives you that chance to call them with no pretense of making up, like just saying, hey, I randomly stopped on your name.
Yeah.
Here we are. I'm playing this game. How are you, Liz?
You know what? You did that on my birthday, actually.
I did, didn't I?
You did.
Yeah.
You pulled the old Rolodex roulette on me. It was great.
You know, and I've learned how precious friendship is.
Yeah.
You know, so when friends' birthdays come up, I call them and sing happy birthday or reach out to them. It takes so little effort.
Well, thank you for that. And everybody, you should know John has a wonderful singing voice. I
do not.
Recording. Oh my gosh, it was lovely. Are you kidding? I've listened to it a couple of times, actually. I love the song.
It's in my range, so.
But you know what? I actually did follow your example, and I have played Rolodex Roulette with my messenger list a few times, and I've reached out to people that I had completely lost contact with. And you're right, it makes such a big difference in your day, but mostly in theirs, because all of a sudden they feel seen, they feel remembered, you know, and it's such a wonderful, wonderful act of love, you know?
Yeah, it really is. You know, we all in the society rely on texting and, you know, quick, short emojis to communicate how we're feeling. And there's no substitute for a real live conversation.
It's true. It's true. You know, and I think, I know myself, I have to admit, I've become that person that will sometimes look at the phone and think, why are you calling me? Is it an emergency? What people text all the time. No one calls, but you know, even just a text like, hey, I'm going to call you. Are you available? You know, just something like that.
Right.
Speaking in person, it is such a different conversation. You know, you hear the emotion in someone's voice. You can't mask that.
I mean, we're all in this world together, and we only have one life to live, and might as well surround it with people that you're friends with and show support. And it's it's what gets me out of bed in the morning,
Yeah.
knowing that I can sing happy birthday to a friend and have a great conversation and learn something new about what they're up to, or share something I'm doing, or whatever. It's just, I look forward to that every day.
Yes. Well, I think, I know I have noticed this myself, and I think a lot of our viewers have noticed this as well, that this pandemic has really shifted a lot of people's value system, to the point where time has become one of the most valuable and precious commodities, and giving of your time and giving your thoughts to someone is one of the greatest gifts you could ever receive.
Absolutely. Really is.
To the point where, I look forward to seeing my friends in person. I got to see 2 girlfriends last night on a patio. For the first time in years, we sat on a patio like the before times, and we sat and we enjoyed a drink together, and it was the most exciting, exhilarating thing. We were laughing and giggling like like time had not passed. It was just beautiful.
I mean, we'll look back at this time, and it's a blip on the radar, and it seems like every 100 years we have some kind of pandemic that makes you consider what's really important in life. And I'm starting to speak publicly, for organizations about what does it mean to have gone through this pandemic and go back to work, and the lessons that we shouldn't forget.
Right.
That's really, really important.
What would you say are some of the top lessons that we should remember?
Well, just how important, relationships are, and that we're all in this world together, and we all have good days and bad days, and just a friendly, hey Liz, how you doing?
Yeah.
Is all that people need to just say, today isn't as bad as I thought it was.
It's true. I love sending a text to someone saying, hey, John, I saw this. I thought of you, and sharing it,
Right. Exactly.
Oh, yeah. I love memes for that. My phone is full of memes saved at the ready for all of my friends and family at the right moment. Bang. There you go.
So that's kind of my healing. And I don't know. My journey has been one of self, discovery and self-acceptance. I think that's really the key, is accepting who you are, and just saying, it's me. If you don't like it, you can say goodbye.
Yep.
And when you have that ability to really do that, you attract other people, and you find joy.
It's true. And you really free yourself of a lot of things that are holding you back.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's true. I always have this saying that very similar to what you're saying, where I'll tell people, there are 360 degrees. I only occupy one. You are welcome to look elsewhere.
Right. Well, I'm the big guy, so I might have 3 degrees, but.
But it's the sort of thing where once you do reach that revelation that you are enough, and you're more than enough. In fact, you're beyond. You're the best. Because you're happy. All of a sudden, you don't carry that baggage with you, because you've let it go, and you've identified the baggage, normalized it, and just let it go.
We all have baggage from time to time. That I have other things that I'm dealing with that I haven't accepted as much as I did my facial paralysis. But you learn the more things about yourself that you learn how to accept, the easier it gets to accept other challenges that come into your life.
Absolutely. And I think it's wonderful that you can identify that, and keep reminding us all that it's okay to have that. Those things are probably constant companions, and that's okay. You know,
Right.
you can put them down once in a while and, you know, just identify that that's that piece of baggage and that's that piece of baggage. Make sure you don't trip over it, but it's there, you know?
You know, I spend a lot of time on Facebook groups where people who have gone through acoustic neuromas, my brain tumor. I'm deaf in my left ear, so I'm single-sided deaf.
Okay.
And that's a huge thing, especially to someone who is an audiophile.
Oh, wow.
You know, when I'm walking down the street with someone, I have to put them on my right side or correct side so I can hear them. And I don't have a tattoo that says out of order here. So people forget. I've seen other people actually do that.
That's great.
They put a little mute button right here. But it's, you know, it's funny, you know, when you go through brain surgery, there's the outward signs of the surgery heal really quickly, but the internal signs of your psyche, your energy, your endurance, your stamina take a long time to heal.
Yeah.
And, you know, so I spent a lot of time online in these groups sharing with the loved ones of these people who've gone through similar tumors. Hey, look, you need to cut them some slack. Just because they look like their incision is healed doesn't mean they're back to normal.
Yep.
And that it could take a year or so before you're going to feel somewhat comfortable to go out and restore your life the way it was, or at least your new normal.
Absolutely. I mean, it's life altering what happens, you know. Something that I think, you know, needs to happen a little more is the mental care that comes with that. You know, I've been through a life altering experience of my own as well, and although the physical elements were taken care of, I was never given the mental care to understand that everything internally, including, you know, my mental awareness and ability to cope, changed. You know, I had a blood clot the size of a golf ball at the bottom of my left lung, and, you know, nearly kicked the bucket. And nobody ever thought to talk to me about the ramifications of that, the emotional and mental ramifications and aftermath. They just focus on the fact that, well, you didn't die, so good for you.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's been 8 years and I still have a lot of residual mental and physical issues with it that just come up at random times. And I'm very glad to be part of a Facebook group called Fuck You Body. It's great. We can just talk about all the body bullshit that we have, and nobody judges anybody else. They're all commiserating, but it's the sort of thing where, you know, it does take a long time for internally you to heal, you know, and I absolutely relate to what you're talking about. And it's a constant, it's a constant healing.
Yeah, right. We're all moving forward in our lives, and there's 2 steps forward, 1 step back every time we try to do something. And you know, you get discouraged because it's not as easy as you dreamt it would be. But when you overcome whatever that is, you build on those memories. You know,
Yes.
I go back to when I was in college, and I was a theater major, and I was a prop master on a children's show, and I had to build a period tripod to hang a bowl of soup above a fire. I remember being in the scene shop with the raw materials, but not really knowing what to do. And my instructor, Jerry, came over, and he says, hillbilly from Texas, or should be Kentucky, wearing the suspenders and the scar hanging out of his mouth. And he goes, boy, I didn't take you to raise. What's going on? I'm like, Jerry, I'm just having a little trouble getting started. And he says, getting started. And he pushes him away, and he takes 4 sticks, and he wraps a rope around the top and hands a hook, and he says, here's a fucking tripod. Get out of your head. And I was like, wow.
Ooh.
And so every time I would then come up to a challenge, and I'd be in my head, you know, it's just, I was scared to take that first step.
Yeah.
I would say tripod.
Oh, I like that.
And what it would do is it would bring back all those emotional memories of my successes in the past, of when I just took the step forward, took a risk, and came out the other side. And it's like a magical elixir that if you can take a 1 or 2 word phrase and apply it to that feeling of self-worth that you had when you combated whatever you were scared of and came out the other side. It's an amazing tool to move forward in your lives when you come up against a brick wall that you're like, oh, I don't know how I'm going to deal with it.
It's true. I think, in my observations, and I know for myself, sometimes I'm so afraid to do the thing because I'm going to do it imperfectly, when really I should just do the thing. And that for me, that's my tripod. I'll just tell myself, just do the thing. Get off your butt and just do the thing.
Yeah.
Because I see it in social media all the time where, what is presented to you is so perfect because it's been prepackaged and it's been pre-taped and it's been, commodified to the nth degree that it's so polished that you feel like, well, I could never do that. So why would I even bother? When the truth of the matter is they spent 30 hours putting together a 30-second clip that you're watching.
Yep.
And when they did the thing imperfectly many times and then edited it so it doesn't look like it.
Absolutely. One of my tricks of the trade when I speak publicly, every once in a while I'll have nerves about it because I may not be as prepared as I think I want to be or whatever. Right before the MC comes out to introduce me, I do a magic trick for him.
Oh, cool.
And I do this trick where I turn Monopoly money into real money. Seconds before they go out and introduce me. Now they're like, oh my God, what did I just see? And so they go out and that energy is translated to the audience. And they are so excited, just like you were to bring me on today.
Oh yeah, I was verklempt. Literally, I was trying not to blow my eyes out. I'm not going to lie.
They are so damn excited to share me with the audience that the audience immediately keys in on that.
Oh yeah.
And so when I come out, the love coming my direction from the audience is so overwhelming. Any fear of screwing up or whatever just goes out the window. And I feel like I met 500 friends just now. It's kind of my trick to the trade to any of you people who have issues with public speaking. Figure out some joke or something you can do real quickly to catch the MC or first announcer off guard and get them excited about you going out there and talking about what you're going to talk about.
That is such a wonderful idea. I am going to carry that with me in my pocket because you're absolutely right, because you throw them off their game, but you get them so excited at the same time,
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I love that, who would you say, obviously.
One thing that I do, I don't have I didn't think about it. I wasn't prepared. I'm going to do a little thing. I have a playing card here, and pretend this is your business card, right? And,
okay.
And are you watching it?
I'm watching it. Wait a minute. What's happening?
And this is not a camera trick.
Oh my goodness gracious. It's like you're making it float.
Yes. What a better way of handing out your business card to someone.
Oh my God. I want to have a floating business card.
Remember you, and it's simple to do. I'll share it with everybody, see if I can do it. Basically, what you're doing is you're taking your thumbs.
Okay.
And you're pulling your thumbs back. And the thumbs grab the side of whatever the card is or the business card.
That is so smart. Oh my gosh. So I want to grab a card and try that. So you're just bouncing it.
That's what you're doing, right? But you want to keep your thumbs down so that they're obscured by the rest of the fingers.
Oh my gosh. That looks amazing.
And so anybody can do that. You can pass out your business card that way. And
I'm going to practice that.
Just, make sure you do it in front of a mirror a couple times and keep your fingers at their eye level.
Oh, I love it.
They won't catch it. And they're like, oh my God, now that your business card is something that is magical. Yeah. And it takes no skill. It takes a half hour practice in front of a mirror, and then you'll never forget it. But you'll be memorable.
John, I am going to practice that, and I'm going to do that for you the next time. If and when I get to see you in person, I'll do it.
When? No, there are no ifs. There's when.
When?
Yeah. If I have to come up with Canada or something, I'll do that.
Well, hopefully at some point I will make it down to the Magic Castle to come see you in person, because I know I still owe you the greatest hug of all time, because I know
Absolutely.
Billy gave you one, but I can give a better hug. I promise.
Okay.
Oh yeah, Monica just tried it. She said it works.
Awesome, Monica. Just make sure you actually do it in front of a mirror before you spoil it. Just get your thumbs right behind the hands, so that. But it makes an impression, and that's what you're trying to do when you meet somebody or whatever. You're trying to make an impression.
Absolutely.
It's just such a great way of introducing yourself to somebody.
I'm so curious. You've met quite a few people. Was there anyone who made such an amazing impression upon you that you still talk to them about them to this day?
Boy, I mean, in the world of magic, I have a lot of mentors that I grew up watching and have had the opportunity to work with. I'm not going to drop names, but it's artists, at least in the art of magic, tend to be very generous with their time and their opinions, and willing to spend a few minutes with me watching a trick and going, hey, I like that, or I would suggest tweaking this. And of course you got to be open to their suggestions. And yeah, I mean, the one person I look up to most was my dad.
Oh.
Yeah, my dad was a pretty special guy.
Oh, that's so awesome.
Yeah, my parents, first loves, they were married till they both passed away. My dad had dementia towards the end, which was very tough to watch. But, he was this guy who was accepting of anything, whatever. If I made a mistake, he would put his arm around me and say, what did we learn from this? And then move on. And there was never any judgment. And, he treated my mom like she was the queen, and he was just a great role model. So I think about my dad often.
That's wonderful. Something that my father always has instilled in me, and I say, I live by to this day, is that, we are ambassadors of our parents, and the way we interact with the world really shows the world how they have raised us. I know every family is different, but I know I'm a proud ambassador of my father, because he taught me some of the greatest skills I've ever had, that I implement to this day, under promise and over deliver, be early to everything that you care about. And even if you don't care about it, still be early, make yourself so indispensable that they can't be without you,
Right.
Those sorts of things, like ask always how you can help, things like that. And, it makes me so happy to hear you speak about your father like that, because it shows that he had a really great relationship with you and a great impact on you.
Yeah. My mom and I would butt heads.
Oh.
She had the patience of a flea, and I'm a creative problem solver. That's what I am. That's what I do in every aspect of my life. So my mom would tell me something to do something, and I would go, well, I need to just understand why.
Yeah.
And her answer was, because I fucking told you to.
Yep.
And that didn't sit well with me. And so my mom and I would have a screaming match, and she, of course, would always win, and I would end up in my room, and my dad would come in and calm me down and saying, your mom loves you very much, but that's just who she is, and you need to accept her for who she is. And yeah, so one of my fondest memories of my parents is that my parents loved playing football, or betting on football.
Okay.
Every Saturday and Sunday they'd be on the couch screaming at the TV, and they'd have a friendly wager over whatever the game was. And I remember my mom would say to my dad, his name was Harold or Hal, she would say, Hal, I'm taking Dallas. And my dad would pause for a second, blow his cheeks out, and say, all right, how many points do I get? There was no way that my dad was not going to give my mom what she wanted.
Yeah.
There was a negotiation there, but unless it was University of Michigan, and my mom knew that was his alma mater, and that was sacred, not to tread over that too badly.
Yeah.
It was just a lesson on how you treat people in a relationship.
Absolutely. And I think, choose your battles. Some things are not worth, the heartache. I know people always say happy wife, happy life, but how about happy relationship, happy life? It's not about necessarily bowing to one person all the time, but just choosing your battles and, compromising. I think that's so important.
Right.
And that's in every relationship, friendship, business, you name it. That's something that I've learned because I'm a Taurus. I can be incredibly stubborn. I can dig my feet right into the dirt, into the ground and be unmoving. But then sometimes it's just not worth the heartache. So I will bend sometimes. Mars has asked a very, very interesting question. He's
Hey,
saying
Mars.
and Jim's saying you can't be good at anything you aren't willing to be bad at for a while. This is very, very true. But Mars is saying you have some sort of Houdini artifact. Is that true?
I do actually, on my wall, and I don't, you can't see it now, but I do have an original set of handcuffs
No way.
that were owned by Harry Houdini and a separate key.
Oh.
Yeah, and that is, I have certificates of authenticity for that, and I proudly have that mounted on my wall above me. So,
What is the origin story of that? How did you get them?
I paid through the nose in an auction.
Was it neck and neck? Like, was it a total battle?
Plenty. So there was an auction that not for that, but one of the greatest musicians who recently passed away was Johnny Thompson. All the art on my wall behind there was owned by him, and I attended an auction where his estate was being auctioned, and I found out I was up against David Copperfield.
Wow.
And he was through his henchman Chris was bidding on just about everything. And there were a few items I knew that. I messaged Chris and I said, please let me have this, please. Because David has more money than God squared. So, finally, he let me have some of the things that I wanted off that auction. But
well, that's very nice of him.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow, that's so amazing. I mean, how do you feel when you look at these artifacts?
Oh, they all bring me joy. They really do. It's brings back memories of me hanging out with some of these great magicians. There's a poster right here of Mr. Piffles, who is the sidekick of Piff, the Magic Dragon, was on AGT and so forth. And
okay,
I got him to sign that, and I've got a paw print of Mr. Piffles on there. So,
oh, that's so cute.
Yeah. So most of my stuff that I collect is magic memorabilia. When I have a poster that's from a magic fundraiser for Saving Africa back in the 70s and 80s. I don't remember exactly. It was like 79, and it's signed by David Copperfield and Penn and Teller and all of the names, Harry Blackstone Jr. and all of these great magicians. And there's one of them, and it's in my house. So I'm like really happy to have that kind of stuff. So.
That's pretty cool. Now, I know you were telling me that for about 55 weeks in a row, you've been doing a Friday Zoom meet with fellow magicians. How is that?
Actually, the Magic Castle before the pandemic had a Friday lunch where it was a members only, members and their guests, but you couldn't go in as a non-member. And it was great. I'd get there at 11 o'clock. I'd go see a 12 o'clock close-up show. It was informal. You didn't have to have the coat and tie on. You'd walk up to the dining room. You'd have a nice buffet brunch. And then I would just walk around, meet people, and go down and go to our library and session on magic and meet with people. And then I'd stay the night. So it was my way of playing hooky on Fridays.
Okay.
And the pandemic closed the castle. And all of a sudden, all these people I would see every Friday, I didn't get to see. So I started this weekly magic show where I would invite a different magician each week to perform. And it was all for members of the castle and friends of mine or friends of the performer. And tomorrow is Greg Wilson, the son of Mark Wilson, the famous magician Mark Wilson. who was really huge on TV in the 70s and the 80s. And he'll be the 66th person in a row, 66th week in a row that I've done this Friday lunch. And it just gives the members of the Magic Castle, who are my family at this point, a chance once a week to look forward to something, to get together, to see each other's, to share stories. As people walk in the room, I open the room 30 minutes before the show starts, and as everyone walks in, I say, "Hi, how are you? What's new? What's going on?" You know, it's a way of checking in with people and just providing that friendship and that companionship that we also miss.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I believe this is a picture of you in front.
Oh,
Yeah, this is you in front of the Magic Castle, correct?
that is, yeah.
Yeah. Was this also taken in the Magic Castle?
Yep, that's in the close-up gallery.
Very cool. And this is you, actually. I love showing off what you're doing, because it's so amazing that you have done a TED Talk as well.
Yeah, well, the video that you showed had clips from my TED Talk. It's funny, I didn't know, I was working, I wanted to become a motivational speaker. I wanted to, get paid for it. And so I was working with a friend of mine, David Blotter, and he had a show with a friend of his called David and Lehman. He had been on AGT and so forth. So he was going through some rough times. So I hired him as my director to build my corporate show. And he said, "John, you need some credibility." And I went, "Oh, okay. How do we do that? Did you ever think about doing a TED Talk?" And I'm like, "Sure." And we sent out the application, and all of a sudden, 2 weeks later, I get an email from the guys at SDSU wanting to know more. And I shared what I wanted to talk about, and they were like, "You're hired." And then the work started, because then I had to actually write and memorize, and then get a speech ready.
Yeah, that's true.
It was so much fun. It was just it just came naturally. I'm a ham.
Oh, you definitely have an excellent sense of humor. I mean, every time I talk with you, you just have me roaring. I'm slapping the table, you're just making me laugh so hard all the time. I know earlier you were asking me if I had something blue, because we're full spectrum of the rainbow right now. I have the green, the yellow, the red, you've got the purple. Well, I did find something blue. I found a Smurf in a cape.
Oh, very cool.
I found a super Smurf in my garden.
All right. Awesome.
Something blue.
Yeah, I love blue. Blue's my color.
Now I have to ask, how has it been to be going back to the Magic Castle to perform in person?
Well, it's funny. When they opened, there was no live entertainment period. They had a video presentation in our large theater, but there was no live entertainment. And I just kept on bugging the board of directors. I need to perform live. So they put up a little table for me outside for the first couple of weekends. And I would just sit there, and as people would leave going to their car, all of a sudden they saw the opportunity to see some close-up magic, and they would stop by, and we'd spend 10 or 15 minutes while they're, saying goodbyes and getting their cars and so forth. And then starting last weekend, they allowed me to start performing live inside the building. So I did that last week, and I'm actually there tonight, tomorrow, and Saturday night.
That is so wonderful. I mean, that has got to feel like a homecoming, really.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. And people are so appreciative of being able to get live interaction magic again.
It's true. Oh my God. Well, there's nothing like a live performance, because you're absolutely right. The exchange of energies, the spontaneous of the spontaneous moments, the things that come up, you can't replicate that.
Yeah. And, I have I'll tell you a funny story. So there was this, in my act, I normally have someone sign a card.
Okay.
And that proves that it's a unique card. And so the card ends up all different places, and then finally in a sealed envelope in a sealed wallet in my jacket pocket. So this one time where these ladies came to the table and they wanted to know more about me and the castle and so forth. We talked till the place closed. And one of the women who I had signed the card, her name was Brittany, and she inside the 8 o'clock. So on their way out, I overheard one of them say to the other, "Can we stop by the In-N-Out Burger on Sunset on the way back to UCLA. So I got out of the castle and I got my car and I waited for him. And a few minutes later, they come out of the front of the castle, girls night out, having a good time, and I follow them. And they don't see me. But sure enough, they go right towards the In-N-Out Burger on Sunset. And I get in the drive-thru right behind them. And when I get up to the window to place my order, I hand the lady a $10 bill for her trouble and said, "Do me a favor, run over there and put the In-N-Out, put the 8 of clubs in the In-N-Out bag." And I drove home. They drove home. The next morning, I wake up to a post on my Facebook page. What the fuck? How did you get the 8 of clubs in their In-N-Out bag? And they must tell that story all the time, because about 4 years later, I'm in a little sushi bar in the valley called Sugarfish, and all the tables are on top of each other. And I'm there not dressed in my performing clothes. I'm just having lunch with a friend. And there's a guy next to me, and he's looking at me like he knows me, and I don't care. But there's a lull in the conversation. He reaches over and he says, "You know, this is going to sound really, really weird, but are you the In-N-Out magician?"
Yes.
So he heard me talking about magic and saw my face and put 2 and 2 together. He had heard the story from one of the girls' friends who was there that night. So, that story of, putting yourself in that car, going through the In-N-Out Burger and pulling out a burger for you, and then, oh my God, the 8 of clubs, how'd that get there? Card to impossible location is one of my favorite tricks to do.
Oh my gosh, that's just so powerful. Like, would you like a card with that? Would you like fries with that?
Yeah, and just to have that be completely, there was another time back in the day before Uber and Lyft, I would be at the table and I'd perform, and there'd be a couple, and I do this mentalism trick where I predict a 3-digit number and a state and a playing card, and I can't reveal the method, of course, but at the end of the trick, I have successfully predicted all 3. But I choose the husband of the woman who signed the card to come up with that random 3-digit number, and I say, "Sir, I really want a random number. Did you drive here tonight by chance?" And almost always the answer was yes. "So you must have a valet ticket number." "Well, yeah, I do." And I said, "No one pays any attention to the 3 digits on the valet ticket number. We'll use those numbers." So, of course, I predicted the valet ticket number. And then they all go walking, and then I run down to the valet stand, and I say, "Okay, do me a favor, find card 124, and take his wife's signed card and put it in the makeup mirror of the passenger side visor and just leave it there." And the next time they go out in the town, she goes to fix her face. She pulls down the makeup mirror, and her signed card floats down.
Oh my gosh, that must have blown her mind.
So I look for those opportunities to make the magic happen when I'm nowhere near. Just imagine what the reaction will be.
Oh my gosh, that gives me so much inspiration. I wonder what I can do at work. But that's just a testament to your ability to think ahead.
Oh, yeah.
That kind of forethought is beautiful.
I was born a creative problem solver. That's what I do in my day-to-day, 9-to-5 job. And in my magic is I'm always taking a problem and figuring out creative ways to solve it.
I love it. And, it really translates to life. There are different creative ways to solve it. And there are different ways that you can leave a lasting impression on someone with something so simple and so personal. We can all, leave that 8 of clubs to someone in another way. It doesn't have to be necessarily magic related, but it can be, thought and consideration related. It is so translatable. And, again, you always inspire me. And in your example, I'm going to find a way to leave an 8 of clubs for someone sometime this week in an untold way that really reminds them that they're thought of and that they're special.
Absolutely.
You've put me to the challenge, and I'm going to do it. I'm going to float a card with my thumbs, and I'm going to make someone's day in some sort of magical way. We don't have an In-N-Out Burger, but I'll figure it out.
Yeah. You never know. I mean, karma, you go out your way to just make someone's day. You go out there and just treat someone with respect and just a smile and a wishful phrase or something to just stop them and get them out of their monotony.
Absolutely. The ripple effect is just, you can't even know the ripple effect that you're creating, but knowing that you are creating it not only makes your day better, but it makes that person's day better. And all of a sudden they want to make someone else's day better.
Absolutely.
It emanates, and,
Very
honestly, Ron, you have made my day so much better. I am so glad and grateful to have you in my life, to have had your time to speak with you. I think you're so amazing, and I wish I'd had 3 more hours to speak with you, because I know that there's so much more that we could discuss, and I would be so incredibly honored to have you on my show again, because you are just absolutely delightful.
So if anyone wants to know anything about me, go to ifjohncan.com.
Yes. Here we go. I was just gonna pop that up, because guys, you gotta check it out. ifjohncan.com.
It's funny. So I'm sitting there with my friend David, and if I can was the first phrase I wanted. If I can. And I went online. It was $45,000 to buy ifIcan.com. And I was like, well, forget that. And so we were separate, and David drove, and he called me back and says, John, if John can. I looked it up, and it was $14, and I'm like, yes, it's mine. I'm taking it.
John can, and he can afford it.
Because it really says it all. If I can do shit, what's stopping you? There's nothing stopping you.
Absolutely.
Yourselves is to get out of your own way and just enjoy every moment.
Absolutely, John. Thank you so much for taking the time.
But it's really, if you keep that mindset, it really helps you get through the hard times.
It really does, and I think that you've given me many, many gifts to carry with myself today, including tripod and Rolodex roulette. And, if John can, absolutely, I know that there are going to be some tough days coming up ahead still. We're not quite out of the woods yet. But honestly, John, I'm so glad and grateful for you. Monica thinks you're a marvel. I think you're a marvel. And I keep saying it, but I am going to give you the greatest hug of all time. Just you wait. So get your ribs ready, because
I am ready.
John, thank you so much for joining us today. Don't go away. I'm gonna close up the show, but I definitely want to say a special goodbye to you afterwards. But thank you so much for being on the show.
Oh, it's been my pleasure, Liz. You're doing a great service to these community, for sharing the passions of others with your viewers, and just highlighting people for what they do and who they are. It's amazing. And one day I'll turn around and do an interview with you, so that people can get in your head a little bit and figure out what makes you tick a little bit. So
I would absolutely love that. It's a date.
All right. Awesome.
Take care, John. We'll see you soon, okay?
Thank you, Lizzdom.
Break all the legs tonight.
Okay.
Take care.
I only have 2.
Oh, okay. Only 2 legs. Bye.
Bye.
Guys, I want to thank you so much for joining me this week. I'm always so blown away by all your comments, and all your participation. And it is a great show because of you guys. Every week when you tune in, it means the world to me, and it means the world to my guest. And the truth of the matter is, we're all in this together. John's absolutely correct. It is a truth and a revelation. And every week that I get to join you and that you bring me into your lives is such a huge deal. For those of you who don't know, Planet Lizzdom is now syndicated on Wednesdays on the Carney Show on Twitch out of Austin, Texas. So you can catch us at 9 p.m. followed by their show Devil's Hour right afterwards, where you can find some really interesting and underground art that's happening right now. Jeff is up to some great things, and I really recommend that you watch it. And I'm so glad and grateful and honored to be a part of it, to just to reach out and connect with everybody. If you do like what I'm doing right now, feel free to send me a little love at paypal.me/Lizzdom. It does help pay for the internet and the apps that I use. And it really just lets me know that you guys are on board with what I'm doing. And any little bit of love is always, always welcome. For those of you who don't know, next week is Canada Day. And I'm sure, you'll all be busy enjoying the day as a national holiday is done, now that we can kind of go outside and be a little more social, I don't expect anyone to be tuning in. But if you are interested, we will be playing a full episode of all the Peter Rabbit cartoons that we start the show with each week. We didn't get to show one this week, but there will be a new one next week. So tune in and check out Peter Rabbit because, he is a badass bunny. In the meantime, guys, I want to wish you a very wonderful weekend. You guys are always lovely, and I love this show. I always trip over my words because I'm just so excited to be here with you guys. And as always, I would encourage you to tune in, turn on, and take part because you truly never know who is going to land right here on Planet Lizzdom. So guys, I want to wish you a great weekend. Be well and take care of each other because you know what? There's only one world with only you in it, and we're all in it together. Be well, everybody. Have a great weekend.